Before we begin, make sure to subscribe, like this video, and drop your thoughts in the comments. This story is moving fast, and your voice matters. Breaking news. This is the kind of headline that stops everything. Tonight, powerful voices in Washington are turning their focus to one man at the center of influence, money, and global power. Jared Kushner, the son-in-law of President Donald Trump, is now under investigation by U.S. senators. And the reason is simple, but serious. Billions of dollars from the Middle East, at the same time he was helping shape U.S. foreign policy. This is not just politics. This is about trust. This is about power. And this is about whether decisions that affect millions of lives were influenced by money from foreign nations. Lawmakers are asking hard questions. They want to know when these financial deals were made. They want to know who approved them. And most important, they want to know if American policy was shaped by private business interests. Because if that happened, it could shake the foundation of how government works. Jared Kushner was not just a family member. He was a senior advisor in the White House. He worked on major issues like peace deals in the Middle East. He had access to world leaders. He sat in rooms where decisions were made that changed history, and now those same connections are under a microscope. But the story begins with a simple but powerful question. Can someone serve the American people while also making billions from foreign governments? That is what senators are now trying to answer. Reports say that after leaving the White House, Jared Kushner secured massive investments from funds linked to wealthy Middle Eastern nations. These are not small sums. These are billions of dollars. And the concern is not just about the money itself, it is about timing. While in office, Kushner played a key role in building close relationships with leaders in countries like Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. These relationships helped shape major agreements and deals. At the time, it was seen as diplomacy. Now, some lawmakers are asking if it was something more. They are looking at whether those same relationships later opened the door for huge financial gains. And if that is true, it raises serious concerns. Because U.S. foreign policy is supposed to serve the American people, not private business interests, this is where the investigation begins. Senators are now digging deep into financial records, communications, and timelines. They want to see the full picture. Who met with who? When did these talks happen? And what was discussed behind closed doors? One major focus is a multi-billion-dollar investment tied to a Saudi-backed fund. Reports suggest that even some advisors within that fund had concerns about the deal. They questioned whether Kushner had enough experience to manage such large investments, but despite those concerns, the money was approved. That decision is now raising eyebrows in Washington because it suggests that something else may have been at play. Lawmakers are asking if political connections played a role in unlocking that money, and if those connections were built while Kushner was serving in the White House. This is why the investigation is gaining attention fast, because if proven, it could point to a system where influence and money are closely linked. Supporters of Jared Kushner are pushing back hard. They say everything was legal. They say no rules were broken. They argue that Kushner, like many former officials, moved into private business after leaving government. And they say his global connections are part of his experience, not a problem. But critics are not convinced. They say this case is different. They say the scale of the money is too large to ignore, and the timing raises too many questions. They also point out that foreign governments often look for influence, and when large amounts of money are involved, the risk becomes even greater. This is why transparency matters, because the American people deserve to know if decisions made in government were influenced by future business opportunities. That is the heart of this investigation. The spotlight is now also turning toward the Trump administration itself, because Jared Kushner was not working alone. He was part of a larger team that handled sensitive foreign policy decisions. Now, investigators are asking if others knew about these potential conflicts. Did anyone raise concerns at the time? Were safeguards in place to prevent this kind of situation? And if not, why? These questions are now moving through Congress. Some senators are calling for stronger rules. They want clearer limits on how government officials can move into private business, especially when foreign money is involved, because they say this is not just about one person. This is about protecting the integrity of the system. As this story continues to unfold, one thing is clear. This investigation is not going away anytime soon. More hearings could be coming, more documents could be released, and more names could be drawn into the spotlight. For now, the focus remains on Jared Kushner, a man who stood at the center of power and who now stands at the center of a growing political storm. The outcome of this investigation could have lasting effects, not just for him, but for how future administrations handle the line between public service and private gain. And as the questions grow louder, one truth remains. The American people are watching, and they want answers. Now the pressure is building. Inside Washington, this investigation is no longer quiet. It is getting louder by the day. More senators are stepping forward. More voices are demanding answers. Some are calling this a test of accountability at the highest level, because when someone so close to power is under scrutiny, it sends a message across the entire system. No one is above questions. No one is beyond review. Investigators are now looking at travel records, private meetings, and back-channel communications. They are trying to map every connection, every handshake, every promise, every deal. And they are asking one key question again and again. Was U.S. policy influenced by future business interests? If the answer is yes, even in part, it could change everything. The global reaction is also starting to take shape. Leaders in the Middle East are watching closely because this investigation is not just about American politics. It touches international relationships. It raises questions about how deals were made and why. Some experts say this could affect future diplomacy. They warn that trust between nations could be tested, because when money and politics mix, the lines can become unclear. And when those lines blur, it can create doubt. Doubt about motives, doubt about decisions, and doubt about whether agreements were truly made in good faith. This is why the world is paying attention. Back at home, the political divide is growing sharper. Supporters of President Donald Trump say this is a political attack. They say it is an attempt to weaken the administration by targeting those closest to him. They argue that success in business should not be treated as a crime, but critics say this is not about success. They say this is about influence. They say when billions of dollars are involved, the stakes are too high to ignore. And they believe the American people deserve full transparency. This divide is now playing out in public, on television, in Congress, and across the country. Legal experts are now weighing in. Some say the investigation could take months, even years, because cases like this are complex. They involve financial systems, international laws, and detailed records. Others say the outcome will depend on one thing: evidence, clear, documented proof of wrongdoing. Without it, the case may fade. With it, the consequences could be serious. We are talking about potential legal action, new regulations, and lasting political impacts. This is why every new detail matters. Every document, every testimony, they all add pieces to a much larger puzzle. So where does this leave the story tonight? At a turning point. The investigation into Jared Kushner is just beginning, but already it is raising deep questions about power, money, and responsibility. It is forcing a closer look at how government and business can collide, and it is reminding everyone of one simple truth: public service comes with public trust. As this story continues, one thing is certain: the eyes of the nation remain fixed on what comes next, because this is not just about one man. It is about the system itself, and whether that system can hold strong under pressure. Stay with this story, because the next development could change everything.